All right, hi everyone again, and I hope everyone's doing great. And I've got another video about aliens. So I've been doing a lot of this recently, and was having an interesting discussion earlier today, actually, and a few days ago with Neil Armstrong. So he was one of the astronauts who first set foot on the moon, and he's here right now, actually. So, like with everybody. In the afterlife, it's really cool. So everybody is just to preface that. So remember, of course, infinity, eternal life. Our souls are immortal. Infinity means that being true, immortality and everything. You can attach infinity because in the afterlife, in the non-physical realms, infinity is a fact. So we're more limited to physical rules and laws of nature and physics, that sort of thing down here. But in the afterlife, everything is possible. So infinite communication, infinite immortality. In other words, you can speak to anybody at any time. No one needs to sleep. If they don't want to, you can communicate instantly in any language. And just about every single person, no one I've come across yet that doesn't make themselves available. If you'd like to chat, and just speak, and which I'm really grateful for because everybody's so cool and everybody's really polite about it, infinitely patient, that sort of thing. It's a very nice thing to be aware of and to be able to leverage, and definitely I thank them for that all the time. So and that being said, so I thought this would be kind of cool too because I was talking with Neil Armstrong a little bit earlier, and by being here, like I said a minute ago, like he's here right now, just meaning that he's available, but is very much listening to and aware of this conversation. So when I communicate, sometimes it's using non-physical telepathic energy. So I may not always ask a question out loud. Because that's the substance they're made up of. Our souls are made of non-physical energy, and that's what's released when we die. So that's what they're comprised of. They could still hear us and see us physically as well. But of course, our thoughts being of the same substance, you can just communicate just by speaking with your thoughts, which is exactly how this type of communication occurs, actually. So what we were talking about, and I thought I would put a video about on this. We were watching, I was watching with Neil too, so thanks for that. I'm sure he's probably smiling right now, but we were watching some UFO videos the other day, a couple days ago, I think. But there was information on there because he was there, and I had asked him, I said, for example, like when they got there, when you guys got there, you saw incredible things, and you saw all sorts of UFO activities and base structures. They were made to look like rocks, the surface of the moon, the same material, to stay like hidden. And they have bases of operations there and everything like that. And so when they got there, it's not like they just saw the surface of the moon. They saw structures and aliens and spaceships. And they even said that Buzz Aldrin, who's still alive, he's down there, who was also part of the initial moon landing, said the same thing, what they saw. But in this video, they said Neil Armstrong and his family and his wife and his children and grandchildren, he said the government threatened him. If you tell anybody what you saw, we will kill you and your family, your wife and children and grandchildren. And that really pissed me off. And we actually had a conversation about that too. But he did confirm that. See, okay, yeah, so he was just saying, just now, he said, I was just asking him for confirmation. He said, they sure did say that to me about killing my family. So, and that really pissed me off too when we were watching that, because I was thinking, and we were chatting too about, I was trying to listen for a real-time response, to so he could be part of this like real time. We were talking about this earlier too, and I'm kind of doing it this way for this video. But so thanks again for that. And I had also asked him. So here's how I looked at it. I told him that's just wrong because they knew what was, to a certain degree, they knew there was activity on the moon, and the U.S. government was already in contact with these beings, knew what to expect to a certain degree about what they would find out there. So this was kind of just sending people out there to confirm that and see in person, and then also, have them bring back this information. What pissed me off personally was that they had better choices to make, and this is what I was talking to him about too. So to take someone who, dedicated his life and passion to this career path, to go up there and observe and make these discoveries and bring the information back. First of all, to be kept out of the loop initially to begin with, knowing they were fully aware of what was up there, they just needed confirmation and more observation, as we continue to evolve our ability to travel back and forth to the moon. They got the information from him and then threatened him and his family with death, for crying out loud. What a way to treat somebody by your own government. They either could have, and that's what pissed me off the most, and I told him that too, and he wasn't very happy about it as well. He had a very mature view about it, though, that he was telling me. I'll share his words with me in a moment because I didn't care for it at all. I think they could have went about it better, and they could have either let him know. I mean, rather than take a random person, and just take their life and dream, and then, expose them to what is out there, bring them back, and then threaten to kill you and your family, and then just to give them that level of stress and fear. What's the point? When you could just, if you don't want to disclose it to the American public, at least disclose it to the astronauts. Why would you take these people? Why don't you hand select individuals instead from the military? People with no family and people that sign a non-disclosure agreement. Why would you traumatize a man and his family, that sort of thing, and put them through that, especially about something so epic? I disagree with how they went about doing that, and I just, they're just so stupid for the way they went about doing that, and then to just threaten with death someone, your own citizen who you paid for with government funding to go out there. They could have approached it better. He wasn't very happy about the death threats too either, by the way. We were talking about that so earlier. Well, he had told me, I'll confirm this here in a second, but he agrees basically. Like, he was mad about them threatening his family. I guess we both were kind of, I think, landed on the same idea after I was cursing a little bit about it too, and I was talking to him because it's just so infuriating when you think about it. But was that they could have done it better. It was stupid the way they went about it, and I disagree with that. And I believe in some degree of disclosure, whether with him or the American public, to a certain degree. Okay. Yeah, he's such a nice guy. So what I'm hearing right now is that's what he was saying. That's what he was confirming for me earlier. And to be honest, so that's the opinion I kind of landed on too, because I just wasn't very happy when we were watching that or talking about it initially. What he just said now, that is exactly what I said. And thank you very much for doing that for me, or saying that for me. Or I think you said for doing that for me. Yeah, so you're very welcome, absolutely, for sharing this information. But speaking of which, Okay. So, sorry, I was just listening because we also watched a documentary on the moon landing, and there was speculation about whether that was real or not. Of course, which is understandable. It was very real, but there's a documentary out there where they talk about it was a real experience. But at certain parts, which Noah was just reminding me about, because I was asking about the validity of that video we watched. And he did confirm. He said, I was asking, is that was real about how they doctored the imagery? And he said, yes, that's true. Like with the flag, for example, is what he said. So what they were talking about, what that means is on the video, you could see the flag moving, but there's no atmosphere in outer space, so the flag wouldn't move at all. So people said, well, this was done in a film studio, it's not real, that sort of thing. The reason, those were real shots of the moon, and they actually went there. So these men actually did fly up there and see things, and this is exactly what was doctored out. So they had used previous, this call was made at the highest levels of the Nixon administration, whoever was in charge at the time. But they used previously recorded or maybe even real life data. It was definitely real data to edit out spaceships that were and structures and other things that were of non-earthly origin from other planets, to doctor it out of the actual film of them walking on the moon and everything. So they had to like splice in these images and stuff like that, and it made it look like the flag was moving when it really wasn't. So they didn't account for that. They didn't do a very good job, in other words. But it was real footage. They just wanted to edit out what was actually in the background. Spaceships observing structures made by aliens, that sort of thing. So that's the truth behind that. It was very much a real thing, and that's of course why they did threaten him, and they stayed quiet. But some videos they do speak of this. Like you'll find videos, many of them kept quiet for obvious reasons, of course, because of stupid government. They're very short-sighted. That's what we were talking about too, actually. Very short-sighted with those were his exact words, I think, something about being short-sighted. And Neil was more pro-disclosure, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, and I couldn't agree more. So they just went about it so stupid, And so there was that, and yes, the validity of the experience, very much real. So I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on that and kind of bring Neil into the conversation too, who I hope is probably smiling right about now. But very nice guy and willing to talk anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Amazing life story if you think about it. And I just can't imagine. It's just so crazy. And I mentioned this in another video too. I've never really doubted life in outer space and that sort of thing, but I just never knew how much of it was true. And a lot of these stories and encounters are very true. What I'm finding, and I'm not too surprised, but it's still amazing to me. But what I find the most amazing, and not really in a good way, is how much not just the U.S. government knows, but other world governments. And there are reasons for keeping it from us. And it's nothing too malicious. It's just stupid, short-sighted government politics and decisions as usual. It's not like they are right all the time anyways on any given day or forthcoming with us. So I'm not too surprised. But their degree of, it's not just that they know all these UFO sightings. It's not like they're, oh yeah, we see them too, I wonder what that is. They know. They're talking with these beings. They're aware that they're on the moon, and they have been for a long time. They've been communicating with them for a long time. The idea behind the secrecy is for really a couple reasons. Kind of national security on one level, but which is understandable. But these beings speak with other governments too, not just ours. So it's not like a secret that we keep to ourselves. That's the thread of truth that I've been finding with everything. And it's really just, are we ready for this kind of information? And I say, why not? The idea being, is there a mass panic? How would we handle it? Well, what if it's the opposite? What if it brings us together? And I've mentioned that before too. So I don't know if they're going about it right, to be honest, but that's what I find the most irritating in all these sessions that I've had, and the validation of these sorts of things. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that conversation and with Neil directly, and just kind of share our real time as well. And I definitely thank him for that, and wanted to share that information with you guys as well too. So I find this really, really cool stuff, and I'm really curious to see over the next few decades where we're at with this kind of thing, especially as space flights for tourists become more available, and people can kind of go up there and see what's out there for themselves. And as our technology increases and we're able to communicate and move into outer space more and more, it's just becoming a reality. We'll be in outer space soon, and we are absolutely not alone. And I was going to mention that earlier too. So there's a lot of levels of need to know and that sort of thing. So even when people leave the government, for example, and talk about Area 51, they say, oh, a spaceship crashed and we recovered the parts, for example, and we're studying them. That's true, but even these people are on a need-to-know basis in case they leave the government, and share this sort of thing. So what they're not telling you is, yeah, sometimes they've crashed, unfortunately, or that sort of thing, and we recover the spacecraft and do study them, but we return them. What these people on the videos aren't told, because they're not in the know, even though they were maybe researching these craft and that sort of thing, is at the highest levels of need-to-know government agencies, we communicate with them. We return their craft. We're talking with them all the time. So it's not like a secret where we keep it for ourselves and that sort of thing. There's these levels of secrecy even within our own government, and it's very purposeful. But anyways, so there you have it. And there you have Neil Armstrong too. Again, a really nice guy. And I've been talking to him a lot recently. And I just wanted to share our conversations about this and my own thoughts too. So appreciate it as well. One second. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to listen to what he was telling me. I didn't want to chop this out either because I wanted to be very real. It took me a message to hear, but he said, tell them, I asked him if there's anything you want to say, and he said, tell them this is Neil, and I believe he said, and thank you for listening, and tell them I love everyone. He says, I love everyone. He said, this is Neil Armstrong down there, like speaking to everybody on Earth, right? Yes, he said, that is the truth right there. Tell him I love him, Jerry. That's what he said. So really nice guy. And he sounds like he's in a really good mood. He's in a really good mood. Everybody usually is when I talk to him in the afterlife. Remember, it's a place of infinite peace and love and calm and that sort of thing. And everybody's very positive all the time, which is great. So thank you for that. Well, thanks again so that was from Neil Armstrong directly. And for me, thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you like this sort of thing. Let me know if you have any thoughts or comments or ideas, questions. And yeah, if you like it, thumbs up the video, and I'll be coming out with more content. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you later. Thank you.